Hey Global Village, what's up? Okay, I want to talk about Mark Carney's speech at Davos, Switzerland during, the World Economic Forum. What I've noticed is that most of the commentary coming out about what he said is that people are either glazing him as if he is the second coming, or they are basically unwilling to offer him any praise for what he said, and instead are just sort of pointing out that he is himself just a major hypocrite. Now, I think both points of view have value, but you need to combine both positions to offer a clear and I think complete summary of what actually happened. So I think the way we can do that is first of all just take a look at Mark Carney's basic background, because he is first and foremost a money man. He worked for Goldman Sachs and he was a governor of both the English and then Canadian national banks. So he's all about the dollar bill. And up until now, he has been very subservient to Donald Trump. Trump has asked him to jump, and he has pretty much just said, how high? And clearly, he's decided that is a game that he's not willing to play anymore because it just doesn't make economic sense. I think he's come to, quite rightly, the conclusion that Trump is an agent of chaos, and that in fact, when you show weakness, when you show subservience to Donald Trump, that really just signals to him that there is an opportunity there for Trump to take more. Trump has a complete lack of empathy for anyone or anything else except ultimately his own ego. And that is everything that drives him. So what actually happened? Mark Carney did put together quite a remarkable speech, primarily not because it said anything particularly shocking or surprising, but that it was him, a prime minister of a significant country here in the Western Hemisphere, who was willing to basically say the quiet part out loud and just admit to stuff that we have always known to be the case. Yet nonetheless, our governments continue to play this sort of pantomime, this idea that there is this international rule of law and that it's there to create an even playing field for all, so that, we can have this proper international global trade and cultural cooperation where everyone can get to win. But it's never been that way. And of course, the genocide in Gaza was a very, very clear indicator that these so-called international laws, they don't actually exist as soon as someone from the West, a major player from the West, specifically being backed by the US, suddenly goes rogue. Because, of course, when it came to Russia invading Ukraine, Mark Carney is very comfortable finding his moral compass. However, if you actually listen to the full speech, which you absolutely should, then you will notice at the end, when he's having a bit of a sort of a conversation post-speech, he talks about potentially joining the so-called Board of Peace, which I prefer to call the Board of Piss. And he uses real weasel words to kind of hedge his bets on that. I think trying to basically not alienate his own domestic population, which are strongly opposed to what is happening to the Palestinian people, but at the same time not offering any sort of moral clarity that he is so comfortable demonstrating whenever it comes to condemning Russia. So despite this speech, he is still very much on board with the Western imperial project. He's just not on board with Trump because Trump doesn't know how to play the game, and he risks, blowing up the gravy train that has worked so well for everyone, at least here on the West, up until this moment in time. As I said, it really is worth listening to the whole speech. I do think he deserves genuine credit for doing it because, he is the first Western leader to just come out and so clearly and concisely call a spade a spade. But really, he just goes to show how disingenuous both he and largely, perhaps pretty much every other Western country, very much including New Zealand, has been and continues to be with regards to this kind of pantomime that we play, because it just isn't real. It's never been real, and all Trump has really done is just force us to confront that fact. Anyway, Bendy out.